You train, you sweat blood, and finally it arrives. Martin Dreyer and his change-a-life athletes give us a glimpse behind the scenes of race day.
Now Martin, how many guys did you enter into this year's doozy?
This year's doozy, there were 12 guys.
And how did they perform?
Really well, but the second day was a flooding day. The river was out of control and the guys just didn't have the expertise to nail it on the head, and they had a lot of swims and it was a learning curve. So one or two boats broke. In the end though, we had Eric Zondi who came fourth. Almost on the podium, and we ended up with 9 in the top 24. So I think that was a race well done.
Eric Zondi raced flawlessly, guiding his boat nimbly through the technical rapids and running swiftly on the partages. This young athlete came into his own and made his community very proud.
Now Eric, you did extremely well this year at the doozy. Tell me a bit about the experiences.
This year it was quite tough because I've got a lot of guys who come back in the doozy, like Hank McGregor, and some of the viewers wasn't there, but this year just come back and as well as learn. I take a risk just to decide to train alone, try to make an experiment to use Martin Dreyer's experiment that he gave me. And I did try to train, but it was not that easy. And all of that, it worked, because in the doozy I was pushing hard and I didn't get that tired as last of the few years ago.
The doozy is a race without frills, no water points or repair stations, and no marshals at gnarly rapids. Careful planning is done behind the scenes to give paddlers the support they need.
Now, when going through a race like the doozy, what are some of the most important aspects that you need to consider?
The most important aspect is being fit enough to get yourself to the finish. But preparation is everything with the doozy, because your rocks are underneath the water, so you can't see your hazards. So you need to have intimate knowledge of the river. A second in team would be third on the list, in terms of that you need that backup. If something goes wrong, you break your boat, there's duct tape at hand to strap it up, and you also need the supplementation along the way.
I mentioned a seconding team. What exactly does that mean?
You have a bunch of people dedicated to your own needs that follow you in a vehicle along the route, and there's only certain places they can get to you, so you want to make sure that they know where they're going and that they got the right stuff with them. They always got a spare paddle at hand, and they've got a backpack with all the goodies in. Like for instance, on the portages, when you run next to your paddler, that you need cramp block. To always have it on hand, because that's something that's sort of a crucial ingredient with this valley with the heat. But the seconds are just there to make sure that your well-being is catered for.
Martin's friends volunteer as seconding teams, preparing 200 litres of ice-cold water for the 12 paddlers.
How big a role did supplementation play in the results that you've achieved?
Supplementation is crucial because, just anyone can finish a race with a certain fitness level, but to perform like my Change Life Academy guys do at a very high level, supplementation is just crucial, just to take you to that one level higher in order to get the best results.
Now on race day, what are the key supplements that you use?
During a race, while you're pushing yourself to the limits, you need fuel, and we use Sata Power, but it's important actually also to consider the heat. We race at a valley where it's incredibly hot and you're sweating a lot, so you want to have more water in the system than the normal concentrations when you mix at the regular levels, so we actually dilute it a little bit. We also take cramp block, which is important to prevent cramping. And in the race itself, on the go, there's Vuma, which is now in an easy-to-use tube. So you just clip it open, have a squeeze, and that is just a little bit of pure glucose that allows your system to absorb very easily if you're having any sort of digestive troubles. Afterwards, we hit the Recover Max. They call it the milkshake, and it's it's super tasty, and that goes alongside the meal replacement, which is always an hour later down the road.
And by using the USN supplements, do you feel that it's made a difference?
Yeah, definitely, because I was using the muscle fuel each and every session that I've done, and the next day I was still feeling strong that I can still do it.
There's no time to waste. In the winter, the paddlers turn to mountain biking and running, competing in multi-sports events to keep their fitness levels up for the next race. Biking presents a whole new skill for the Valley athletes.
Now, besides the doozy this year, tell me a bit about the other achievements of the Change Your Life Academy.
The non-stop doozy is always 3 weeks after the doozy, 120 kilometers. You run 30 kilometers with your canoe that day, and the river was low, so you're in and out of your boat, dragging it down the rocks, and it was survival. And this year, the Change Life Academy got first, second, and third, which was quite incredible.
A great result for the doozy is always poised on a knife's edge. Sometimes things go your way, sometimes not. But as in life, the better you prepare, the luckier you'll be.